Hello, ladies and gentlemen of Fontana City Council. Hello, Aquanetta Warren. You are our mayor. My name is Matthew Mancha, and I am a Fontana resident. I have been living in Fontana for over 20 plus years, and over the last 20 plus years, I have noticed that our city has been facing a lot of different climate changing experiences. And it's about time we start thinking about a good project to start minimizing it. So one of the projects I want to bring up is definitely green hydrogen. So hello everyone, let's go through all this, shall we? Okay, so in Fontana, our temperatures are dramatically reaching 3 digits. And sometimes those 3 digits last more than 10 days. Sometimes it feels like it's 11 months. And Fontana uses a lot of energy to cool homes, heat the buildings, cool buildings all year round. And it's one of the cities, one of them, because globally, cities contribute to 70% of global energy carbon waste. Yes. And it's a contributor to global warming, our temperature changes, and other negative things that are contributing. Even knowing we are trying to do recycling programs, even knowing we are trying to do minimizing, we are trying to minimize our smog. Trust me, we're doing all the little bits here and there. It's just happening as fast as we like it. So my suggestion for a more traditional plant that's 100% green, doesn't have any meltdown experiences, is going into nuclear fusion. And we are going to call this nuclear plant Hunter's Ridge Fusion. And the reason why we're calling it that is because we're going to place it in the north end of Fontana, known as Hunter's Ridge. It's 100% green. It produces enough energy to fill the northern top of Fontanians. And there's enough energy there that could be exported off to the other cities if need be. But ultimately, that's one way we can start decarbonizing the city and start cooling the city itself. It's one of them. The other one I want to talk about, which is really good, and that produces more than 100 terawatts, which is really large. I think that's what it is. Terawatts of energy is green hydrogen. And we're going to place it in the south side of Fontana near Armstrong Road. And we're going to call it Armstrong Green Hydro. Now, most of these two plants, I just want to let you know, we are still focusing on decarbonization. So most of these power plants will be powered by wind, solar, the fusion, and hydrogen. So those couple of systems bounded together will definitely help us and definitely make a difference when it comes to carbon. So what is climate change? What is this whole thing? You know, sometimes we interchange it with global warming, we interchange it back, and it's not the same thing. Climate change is the overall uneven changes that we're experiencing in temperature, preparation, humidity, wind, and atmospheric pressures globally, 24/7, 7 days a week. It doesn't shut off. You think it does? Oh, no, it doesn't. It's probably going to be happening someplace else in the world, but it's still happening. 7 days a week, 24 hours, constantly rolling around the planet. We're constantly having it. So then what is global warming? Global warming is another term we've been using to talk about temperature. And we're talking about overall increasing temperatures around the globe. We're not just focused on one part, it's just heat and temperature that is rising. It can be dramatically changing. So then what is the major difference between the two? Well, global warming is only one part of climate change because it focuses on temperature alone. Like saying 100 degrees versus looking at, oh, the humidity is going to be 36% chance. It's way different than what we're talking about. I mean, that is totally different. Totally different. So what are the causes of climate change? Well, in space, we have the sun that gives us all of our energy. It shoots out energy. Those solar flares shoot out a lot of energy, which solar radiation, which interacts with our land, air, and water to either heat us, and as we're doing our cooling down period from the heating, it releases that energy back up into space. Usually that's how that works. But with human beings being part of this driver out of the whole system and causing more changes in greenhouse gases, some of those reflective energies that's supposed to be releasing get trapped and bounces back down, and we get another dose of that solar sun. And it's just energy, and it's causing temperatures to extremely rise more. And that's a lot of radioactive forcing right there that's causing us to do this. I mean, those are some of the causes, but those are the main four that are driving us. And it's pretty devastating at times. It can be. What are two biological mechanisms of climate change? So, like I said before, solar variance plays a little role in this game of climate change and so forth because it heats up our planet. It's it heats it up. It keeps us warm. It keeps us going. But we also have a little bit of other factors as well. Natural factors that this planet also has, like volcanoes. Volcanoes can understand that we are part of the ring of fire over here in California, part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. So we have active volcanoes, and some of them are dormant. And when these volcanoes erupt, they release all sorts of gases, material, hot, raw material, and some of those gases can eventually block out the light, and it does cool down the planet. So it's kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing scenario, kind of a double-edged sword, but that's kind of how that works. And to tell you the truth, the more faster way to cause climate change, like 100%, turns out it's human beings. So the two anthropological agents for climate change, well, worldwide emissions of carbon dioxide and methane released by burning fossil fuels. I mean, we're releasing more than 34 billion tons or gigatons of carbon, CO2 per year. And that's a lot, and it's causing more of a greenhouse effect and heating up ourselves here. The other is our food production, raising livestock. So, if you don't know, here in Montana is part of the Orange Belt, which we did citrus belt. We did livestock here, especially for someone who was in Fontana High, like I was. I was part of Future Farmers America, so we raised livestock, hogs, steers, goats, you name it. We used to raise it, and they actually do produce carbon too, because we actually have a set time frame of when to rapidly develop this meat market creature for eating. So yeah, we experienced it. We've done it. I mean, I've been through the whole class, and yes, we do use the whole animal and so forth, but still, producing these animals at a very short time scale does raise our carbon emissions. So, in the past, so when we're talking like over 11,000 years ago, California used to look a lot different. I mean, we used to have fog on the beaches. Our oceans were a little bit more upwell, as in they actually look crystal clear. They're actually looking pretty good. We actually had decent warm summers. They weren't too bad, but it was decent. We actually had winter. We actually had snow on the Inland Empire ground. It was way cooler, way better. But until the 1800s, then we started using fossil fuels, and things started heating up and changing the structure of it. So here's the how and why the atmosphere changed in California. It's because of fossil fuels and emissions and methane. I mean, yeah, I understand we have laws now that we have to get our smog check every single year because we're using fossil fuel vehicles, but it's still doing it. I mean, it's lessening. I mean, the smog is a little bit less, but it's still causing problems. Okay, so you can see here that the temperature does change over time, spikes up and down all over the place. I mean, this is crazy. But it has been projected that we will be experiencing extreme temperature hikes over the next 30 odd years. I mean, it's really getting hot and scary because now we're using a lot more of our ACs, we're using a lot more energy to try to cool us down so that we can live in our environment. So the two environmental factors that we are facing here in Montana is temperature change and preparational patterns, meaning that that's why we're having extreme droughts, wildfires, and then we're having extreme flooding because now the ground's too loose. Just back and forth, we're not winning. 21 of buildings in Montana are prone to fires. 36% of buildings are prone to flood damage. That's scary. So one of the possible solutions to climate change is that we change our main source of fuel to a more zero carbon fuel, like solar, wind, green hydrogen, and fusion. Also, it'll benefit the city in a triple bottom line here of environmental, economic, and community if we do more blue-green infrastructure, which is beneficial and cost-effective. Two large community scale migrations that we can do is replace all the surfaces of concrete into more permeable pavement so that the water can leak through, along with large scale water storage units, so that we can start collecting rain a lot better. Also remodel the city for more of a net zero carbon electricity, fuels, and materials. That is a lot of work, but it's going to be worth it in the end. For families, installing green roofs also will help, and also changing your vehicles to 100% hydrogen or electric or both. That is another good solution for anyone. That right there will help us a little bit along the way. So, needless to say, going green, but also using 0.0 carbon out of all this is a way to go. So that's why we're building the nuclear power plant off of Hunter's Ridge. And that's the reason why we should be doing green hydrogen. Because with green hydrogen, when constructing it and using it, we're also know that we have to use a splitting mechanism, electrolysis, and that requires water to do that. One of the other cool things about building Armstrong Hydro is that we'll be using atmospheric water condension, so that way that we don't always have to use the city water to do so. We can also produce our own water, and we can do that as well. So here's some of my references. I just want to say thank you very much for your time, and looking forward to see you all in the future. Thank you, and have a great day.